Hello. We are chatting today with Leslie from Absolute Yoga. She's been a partner of ours for many, many years now, and we are so grateful for her continued support. And we're going to see if the IG internet gods are working with us today, and we'll see if we can make this happen. We're excited. We're actually in production right now for our second issue, our second print issue, which will be launching in June. So people always say, you're working so it doesn't launch till June. It's a long process. If you've ever worked in print, it's very different from the digital medium, obviously. If you make a mistake, it is there forever. So we do our best to make sure everything is correct and accurate and beautiful and relevant and on time. So print is a whole other experience than the digital format. And I personally love it. I'm on my digital devices probably a little more than I should be. So that's why I love creating a print magazine, so that I have that moment of that pause of holding something in my hands and just hopefully taking a breath and enjoying something. If you drink coffee or tea like I do, both, I love drinking my coffee, enjoying my magazine, maybe listening to some Christmas music this time of year. And yeah, this is what we do. We are a volunteer team, and the magazine is distributed for free because of our partners like Leslie at Absolute Yoga, who support what we're doing and help us get the magazine out in the world. So we're really grateful to her and all our studio partners and advertisers, and there's still time if you'd like to join us. If you just want to throw us some money, we'll take that too. You can do that on our Patreon page. We have lots of neat little gifts for people who want to join us. There you are. I see you, Leslie. All right. Let's see if I can invite you, or if you want to invite yourself. All right. Leslie. Okay. It's going to work.
All right. Sorry, I was a little bit late. I had someone in the studio I couldn't get out.
We did it. We did it. Oh my goodness, you had to work. Oh my goodness.
Sure, let me
How is it? Can you show us your studio space, or are you set up?
I'll just turn you around. So this is one space. This is the Sun Studio. Back walls. There's the sun. Yeah, well, I guess relative to like Manhattan, well, it's not that big. But we do have two studios. So let me just take you on a little tour through the reception area.
Yeah. I love seeing people's studio space. And look at all that beautiful light.
And
yeah,
so
it's
nice.
Much beautiful light.
And this is the Moon Studio, which is a little bit just a little bit mellower. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
the sun and the moon.
There's the
How
moon.
long have you been in this space?
Got you there. I've been in this, not in this space, but I've been in the Sun Studio space that I'm going back into now for 20 years. We just had our 20-year anniversary in September. So I feel quite proud of that.
Wow.
To have owned a studio for 20 years, really. And we moved into the additional space, the Moon Studio space, in 2010. So I opened the studio in 2002.
Okay.
We had this space just for 8 years, and then we expanded into the other space.
I have so many questions. So what was it like? I mean, now yoga studios, they're all over.
There was,
I think a lot of yoga
it's very funny.
We're
in Woodbury, New York. We're in Long Island. And there's a hot studio around the corner from me, who we opened neck and neck, which was really unusual, because there wasn't that many. There was like one Bikram studio, one in on the North Shore, and then there was a couple on the South Shore. Really not much at all, I would say. And there was a Yoga Works. Well, it wasn't a Yoga Works at that time. It was a Yoga Zone in Brookville. I would say maybe like 8 studios in Long Island when I opened, and then you know, I've watched it grow. You know, people told us when we first opened, oh, you should open on the South Shore, you should open and I was like, oh, you know, it's a little bit out of my range. You know, I live on the North Shore, and then all of a sudden, like thousands, you know, a lot of South Shore studios opened. So, but you know, and then we went through COVID and a lot closed. So.
I mean, there's so many questions. So you've been open for 20 years. Congratulations. That is a huge, to do anything for 20 years, I think is a huge accomplishment. So congratulations. At a yoga studio to own a small business, that's like you're the Olympic champion.
I feel it on a lot of days.
So congratulations. Yeah. And so you made it through COVID, and I know we did a Zoom event with you also during COVID. What was that transition like for you? I mean, thankfully you had been open for a while, so you had your community, you had people that knew you already. But what was that
another instructor and myself, like the day that we were supposed to close in March of 2020, we started looking into Zoom and figuring out how it was going to work. And like 2 days later, I sent out an email to the community saying, these are the classes we're going to have online. All the teachers were teaching out of their houses. You know, just organizing it was a little bit of a challenge, but you know, I mean, a lot of my teachers rose up to the challenge and took it, which was really great. Some didn't, some walked away and did their own, you know, did their own thing too. Which, you know, we were in that gray time. I mean, everyone had to earn a living. So, but we transitioned pretty good. And then I guess we were closed, I don't know, we were closed from March until September. So it was a decent amount of time. Luckily, my landlord was very good. So, I mean, I know that really plays a part in a small business, and he was awesome. So grateful to both Zoom and to my landlord. And so and then we transitioned back with, you know, all the parameters that we had to go through with the disinfecting and everything else that the gyms had to go through. You know, there was a whole thing about yoga studios shouldn't be considered in with the gym category, but we were. And so we went through that whole thing, submitting to the health department and everything else. And, you know, and keeping social distancing, keeping small amounts of mats in the studio. And some people came back and some people didn't. And, you know, some people have dribbled back in and some people are gone, you know. You know, some people doing yoga every day, and then all of a sudden, you know, you don't see them for 9 months. They're doing their own thing, and then they're doing their own thing, whether they got Pelotons or still doing it online. I don't know. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, we're
so
back.
What is your capacity like now?
Are you a little bit cautious, especially right now with like flu and everything else that's going on in New York. So I would say the maximum we have in a room is 15 right now. We've had a couple of workshops where we've expanded it, but that's like people know it's a workshop. You're going to have a little bit more people in there. So but most of those classes now like max out at 15. And then we still have the Zoom going on. So we still have an online. And there are some people that, you know, may be on Zoom forever. You know, I don't know how, you know, I mean, I'd like to keep it just to make those people happy, but definitely a little bit of a challenge for the instructor when sure every studio is facing this, but you're teaching to the room and you're also teaching to online. The online people are going to get shafted a little bit because you're not paying as much attention to them as you were before when you were just teaching to the online student. But you know, they choose not to come into the studio. I mean, but I have some people that are in Florida and California, which is nice to get them in the studio online, but you know, they're not coming into the studio. And there are some people that are in Syosset that aren't coming into the studio. So.
Right. It does still feel a little bit, it doesn't feel to me, I mean, life in general doesn't feel like it's normal
are ever going to go back to what we considered normal before. It's going to happen. You know, that's just my personal opinion. I think that, you know, a lot of people have, are just maybe doing things online, maybe thinking that, you know, I can do it online. I really don't need to go into a studio, but, you know, and then you have others, you know, that are like, this community is what I need, what is a part of my, this is a big part of my yoga, this community. And I get that. I mean, you know, I don't like to do yoga online, you know, it's not, I need the, you know, I mean, I'll do it by myself, and then I'll do it with a community that's breathing with me. So.
How has your personal practice changed?
I would say, yeah, it's definitely changed a little bit in the sense that I have to make time for myself. I used to, I used to just do my practice, and now I'm finding I'm a little bit busier. I'm a little bit busier with private students than I've ever been before, which was a plus out of the pandemic. But so now, between teaching classes and teaching more private, I really have to carve out self-care time for myself that I didn't have to do before. I just had that time, I guess, that interim time. So now it's just finding. And you know, and also teaching online to online community, you're demoing a lot. And even when I have students in the room, it's a very different kind of teach than I was teaching before. Yes, I get out and I'm not in front of the camera anymore, and I'm walking around. I'm adjusting a little bit if people, you know, are okay with it. But I'm not walking around continuously like I was before, because I'm coming back onto my mat to demo for the online people. And a lot of the new students that have come into the studio since we've been opened, you know, after COVID, they're used to seeing that teacher on the mat. Whereas before, no one, you know, no teacher really stayed on the mat. It was very rare that a teacher was at. Now, a lot of these students are used to looking up there and seeing the teacher demoing. So that's a little bit different. So a lot of my, I'm not going to say all my yoga, but some of my yoga is on the mat demoing.
Right. And it's so interesting. Do you notice now people, in terms of what people want out of the classes, is that different?
Definitely, I think more of a call for gentle, restorative meditation, mental health, you know, it has been a big thing. And, you know, I'm just bringing in the chair class back into the studio now. We had a chair class before, but, you know, it was mostly an older population, and that whole older population, you know, was not coming back into a studio after COVID. But I'm finding that they're saying, can you bring the chair class back now? So, because they want the mental, they need that. So I think it really is a little bit more cerebral than the physical practice now. A little bit more meditation, a little bit more restorative, a little bit more yin.
And it's true what you say about mental health. I mean, I think everyone I know is definitely more aware of their mental health and maybe paying a little more attention to it lately, which is good. But I find myself as well wanting to do I used to be vinyasa, power, moving fast. And now I just want quiet and peace. And maybe it'll change again. I don't know. But it's so interesting to be in this state. And I love it too, because it always shows me how my
meditation practice is a big part of my yoga practice now. Whereas just like you before, my asana practice was key. But if I miss a day of meditation, that's just throwing me off. So it might be 10 minutes, it might be a half an hour if I could sit for that, if I have that time. But I need that little bit of my own self-care in that, which is definitely more mental.
Yeah. I've asked a couple of studio owners this question, and I love hearing what they say. Was there something, a mantra, a person, a pet, a meditation practice, that when things felt very challenging, that was your go-to during the pandemic, and now even as we're sort of still evolving through this thing, was there something that you just said, this is the thing that I go to, this is the thing that will always help me through this moment?
Maybe turning to my meditation practice a little bit more focused on that, of just giving myself the time, the quiet time, whether it's in the morning or when I come home in the evening, just giving myself, which I'm not going to say I wasn't a meditator before, but it wasn't in the forefront. But I think over the last couple years, it's definitely more of a cerebral practice that I gravitate towards. And I think it's with age too. I started the studio, was a second career, so I wasn't a youngster, and my practice, my physical practice has changed. I'm not, doing the handstands and the back bends that I was doing before. So it's totally, a little bit of a different practice, and I think that's why I've gravitated a little bit more into meditation and the yin practice as opposed to a strong vinyasa practice.
Yeah, I definitely feel that as well. As I told the last person, my 50th birthday is next year, and I definitely feel a shift in all parts of my life.
I just had my Medicare birthday, so
what's that?
So yeah. So it's and I think that's what happens in your yoga practice, as it should. I mean, you shouldn't be doing, a practice that was meant for 20-year-olds when you're not 20 anymore. So yeah, you got to change, and I'm very happy, and I see it also in my clientele too. Over the last 20 years, they've changed, they've aged, just as I have. So, they need a little bit of a different practice too.
Yeah. What was your previous career before? Because you said you had a dual.
I'm not the first yoga studio owner who has come
ownership
from this practice, this career, but I was an attorney. I was a securities and corporate attorney. So, and I know of at least 3 on Long Island that are attorneys before. So it seems to be the segue, a perfect segue to go from that career of, tense stress, you can't do it anymore, and then you just go into something that's totally the opposite.
I love it. They need to start incorporating that into law schools. It's like
your next job could be a studio owner. I can't tell you how many attorney studio owners I've met. So you just get too stressed out. I'm sure there's other jobs where you get stressed out too, but I started doing yoga when I was stressing as an attorney and a mother, and bringing up my kids and commuting into the city, and and then 9/11, and it was just like a whole kaboom, and I opened the studio the following year. So
yeah, I feel like 9/11 and the pandemic, those are two very they're life-changing events that most of us have all lived through now, and they definitely you pause and you go, am I where I want to be? do I want to continue down this path? And I feel like a lot of people are making these big changes,
I agree.
like they
I
did
think
in 9/11.
the pandemic has certainly, I mean, 9/11 was like, you know, just shot in our face. And like, do you want to continue doing what you're doing when you don't know be here tomorrow? Same thing, the pandemic, but that was like over a longer period of time. And I think that people have had that time to really think about, is this what I want to do with my life? And you know, I mean, you know, I've heard of so many more people going into mental health counseling and moving in that direction. So maybe just like what, you know, I did as an attorney to a yoga studio owner, maybe those attorneys are moving into like, I got to take care of my mental health now, and becoming, you know, more social worker oriented or something like that.
Yeah. I love it. I love it. I hope we see a big change and
think so. I mean,
happier,
you know,
people, maybe.
I don't know. I watch my kids and I see them, you know, they're striving to be happy. They're in their 30s and they want to have lives that, you know, they're happy with. And, you know, so what if they're going from job to job to find that happiness, you know, that they're looking for it. Whereas, you know, we stayed with a job until we couldn't take it anymore, because you had a mortgage or you had, you know, a family. And, you know, I mean, I was lucky I had a husband who still had a job, so I could open up a yoga studio. So, yeah. Oh my gosh. I can't even imagine what life
Best
would be
decision
like.
you ever
I mean,
made?
it's changed me as a person. So, you know, definitely, you know, changed my whole outlook on things. And, you know, I've gained a lot of wisdom, I think, through it. Yeah. I wouldn't want.
Yeah. What a beautiful opportunity. And then you changed your community.
I brought, you know, and I have students that are still coming to me that like called the studio when like a sign was on the door, like with my phone number at home on there. And I have still students that are coming to me after 20 years. And it is a community. I mean, it's friendships have formed. It's a wonderful thing, you know, and you know, and my teachers, you know, I mean, there's a whole system that works, that, you know, that is my life now. So I wouldn't have it any other way. It's, you know, although the last couple of years were a little bit challenging.
I mean, and it was this weird thing where it was almost like, is it better that we're all being challenged at the same time? Like, it almost made it a little bit easier. Like we were all going through, it wasn't just you alone. You know, we all had our individual experience, but there was also this collective challenge that we were simultaneously.
I mean, I watched, you know, everyone else going through it, and I was like, okay, yeah, I have a business to uphold, but so does, you know, these restaurants, and so do, you know, so many other people were going through that. So yeah, I think it definitely helped that you knew that everyone else was suffering with you, or holding, you know, helping hold you up. And yeah, definitely.
And I definitely found too, as another small business owner, the people that really showed up and supported us as a small business were the other small businesses. Like even when they didn't have, when they might have had a penny to give, they gave us a dime, you know, and I was so floored by that support. And you as one of those people that, you know, you're not big giant conglomerates, you know, you're a small business owner, you're doing what you do and you do it really well. And you, when we're like, can you help us, you're like, of course we're going to help you.
You don't want things like what you created in the magazine, you don't want that to fall apart. You want that community to still be there. And so many have fallen apart because they don't have funding or whatever. I mean, you don't want to lose that, you know. And if, you know, if I can support it a little bit and other people can support it, you know, then it just, you know, keeps it happening. So, I mean, it's, you know, it's a shame when we lose all these yoga studios because they're never going to come, you know. I don't think anyone's opening yoga studios now. I mean, I hear about it a little bit, but it's not like it was for a few years where like everyone was like, you know, there was a studio opening on every street corner because it was a great business. Everyone was going to yoga, whatever. you know, now you have to think long and hard about opening up a studio. But there are, you know, people coming out of teacher trainings that are opening studios. So, hey, I think it's great. If, you know, I just think it's a different world now.
It is definitely a different world. And that was a perfect segue to my next question. Do you have anything coming up at the studio?
Right now, I'm waiting until the new year to decide whether we didn't do a teacher training this year, so I'm making a decision whether I'm going to do another teacher training. Because I did do a teacher training with one of my teachers who now is traveling around in a van with her boyfriend. So she's not doing the teacher training with me. And we talked about doing it online, but I want to do it in the studio. I think a teacher training really needs personal. So, so the teacher training's on hold right now. Retreats also, you know, I stopped retreats, but things are getting back to normal. So people have been asking me about retreats. So I'm going to start looking for the spring, a new retreat. We have, what do we have? We have a sound journey coming up next week. Two wonderful young women. One plays the bowls and the other plays the drums, and they're incredible. So that's the 18th, Sunday the 18th from 5 to 6:30. Yoga Nidra. So that's kind of where we've been pushing workshops into that kind of restorative workshops. Yoga Nidra coming up in January. I believe we're doing that on Friday night in January. I'm not sure of the date, but it should be all on my website.
And I love that too, because all those things that you just listed, I mean, talk about accessible yoga. It doesn't get more accessible than a Yoga Nidra class or a sound bowl experience. Yeah. If you have eyes that close and you can breathe, then you can attend any of these classes.
And it really does. It's a beautiful practice. So, yeah.
Leslie, thank you so much. And I'm so excited for your 20-year anniversary that just passed in September.
I feel so good about it. Thanks.
Huge,
we didn't do a big party because, you know, I'm just going day to day and getting through my life. But I think once the new year begins, we'll put out a big party sometime. All right. I'd love to have you.
I think that's a great idea, and let us know, because I think I'd like to be there for that party. Leslie, thank you so much. I'm going to put this up on our website and people can watch it later, and it'll be on our Instagram feed as well. If you are in the area in New York State, just go on by. Just go visit our studio.
You too. Take care.